and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Yahoo!
So we are enjoying some less kid time because the big kids went with my mom and stepdad to Newport Beach. My parents have a house out there and a boat, not like a big boat. It's a little boat. I think you could fit probably 15 people on it really snugly, like shoulder to shoulder, but it's got a little table in the center. Well, you saw the picture. So it's got that little table in the center and you can fit probably 8 people in that little U seating shape, and then you could fit 2 people by where the where Bud drives and my mom sits next to him. And then in the back, there's a bench in the back, and you could fit a few people back there. So, so anyways, they wanted to do a beach trip, and well, that was my mom's plan with Troy, anyways, is because she's been taking Avery and the little ones, and so she was like, "Oh, we'll take the big kids, and we'll take Lenore too." So all 3 big kids, sweet. Yeah,
she's having the time of her life.
I know,
her smile totally is in her eyes, she's so stoked.
Oh yeah.
It's fun.
It is fun. So they went out on the boat yesterday and
watching her jump off. It's jumping off a boat into the ocean harbor.
I know, because
it's so salty.
I know.
It was cute though, but then you turn and you're like, oh, it's 20 feet from shore. There's no current there.
No, there's not.
Tucked up.
So there's a little dock by this beach area and a shore, but it's in the harbor. So yeah, it's not in the ocean.
No.
But there's a little dock area that my parents will dock up at, and the kids can literally jump off the boat and swim to the shore. It's not even that far.
No, not at all.
And then you'd be surprised because obviously I've done it. So when you swim, it's you can touch the ground pretty soon.
Yeah,
because it's the dock is kind of far away, but it's pretty close.
Is there a limit of how far this way you can swim, into where people are boating?
Yeah,
or are you just taking your own life and risk?
You're taking a risk.
Gotcha.
So which is funny because my my stepdad Bud, he was doing the that Storyworth thing, and one of his questions was it was a story about him and his brother swimming across the Newport Harbor.
Oh my gosh, that thing.
Yeah. So it's very dangerous. I can't even remember. I'd have to look back at the thing, but
I'd be afraid of getting attacked by a seal.
Oh, that was another thing my mom was saying, that when the kids are, because they have a buoyed off, a little buoy so boats can't go up to the shore, but it's a swim area.
Gotcha.
And there was a seal in there swimming around with the kids. It's so weird.
Oh my god, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
I know, me too. I'm
we're next.
I know, we're gonna go soon.
Sucks we have to bring the kids.
I know. Can we just go by ourselves?
I know. Be okay, how about this? Someone else gets to babysit and we get to go.
Yeah. No, we'll just go on a weekend. We'll go on a Friday, and because then Jack will be off at work early enough Friday, and then we could come back Sunday night. We could do a couple nights, just me and you.
That is so fun.
Yeah. Mommy's at
the beach.
I'm on the ocean. The beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Mommy's at the ocean.
Mommy's at the ocean. That's how we sound on Mommy's After Hours.
Yeah,
on
there's
Patreon.
Your preview.
Yeah. So, the kids are having so much fun. And today they're going to the beach.
What was the thing they were eating? Was that a...
Oh, that was ice cream. They got they got Balboa bars.
And you get to... It looks like you get to pick your own dip and topping. So Lenore's was covered in caramel because she's going through a caramel phase.
Yeah.
And for her birthday, she asked for a chocolate caramel cake. So I have to figure it out.
Yeah, she got a salted caramel dip. And she was like, it's kind of salty. It's well, yeah.
That's the
so
point.
It was her first Balboa bar. That's a big thing out in Balboa.
It's just an ice cream bar.
And they dip it.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Balboa bar.
Balboa bar.
Yeah. So they're having fun eating ice cream and so much food, because my mom made that big charcuterie thing or whatever, all the snacks, and she made turkey wraps or meat and cheese wraps, and for them today at the beach. But Avery was so excited. It was 10 in the morning, and she's like, should we get ready and go now?
Oh my
mom's
gosh,
like,
how
sure,
cute.
go ahead. So
Did they really head out so early?
I got off the phone and my mom was like, I'm going to finish packing up our lunch and I guess we're going to head out early. Troy was like just waking up. And so, I don't know what time they got there, but yeah, so they got an early start. So
that's awesome.
They got the boogie boards and the surfboard and
and she hasn't called, so nobody drowned.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I'm not texting Lenore every 20 minutes, even though I want to.
Exactly.
I'm just letting her be and have her own time to herself. And I text her good morning and I text her good night, and then I just leave her alone.
Yeah.
She sends me the pictures that she took. Just there's like a handful, and I was just like so happy. My heart's so happy.
I know. Yeah.
The kids needed it.
Oh, absolutely. Avery said she had a bit of a headache on the boat, and it didn't go away until she got home and took a shower, but she seemed fine.
Was it warm? Was it?
Yeah, my mom said it was warm, but it was overcast.
Yeah,
and she had to insist that the kids come in and get sunscreen put on.
It's hard. They don't understand that the UVB. I think the worst one is what makes it through the clouds.
Yeah,
that's the burn one.
Yep.
So I bet Lenore's gotten the tan she's wanted though, because the overcast is when that burn's coming.
Yeah, I'm wondering what swimsuit she decided to wear today for the beach. So. I think Avery took a couple swimsuits.
Lenore did too. She took the new one we got her with the rash guard that my mom got for her. That's super neon, and then the green one that she had on yesterday. So.
I bet you they're having fun. My mom usually takes a lot of videos and pictures.
Did she just chill at the beach and keep an eye?
Yeah, she'll go in the water. Yeah. She got in the water to help Avery learn how to, ride the wave in. So she was showing her how you have to go for far in. It's a little scary because in California
we have ankle strappy kind.
No. It's the wrist strap one.
Oh, cool.
So I'm just meaning
you're still attached. So
you're still attached. So you
grab
attach
it and not drown.
Yeah, yeah. So it's attached to your wrist. I don't know about. I think the surfboard thing's the ankle one. Cool. But yeah, the boogie board's the body board, whatever they call it. But yeah, it's attached to the wrist. And so my mom was showing you have to kind of swim out a little bit where you can't reach. Because you want to ride that wave in, you don't want to get it as it crashes,
Right.
So
because then it smushes you,
into
the sand.
But it is scary. I remember as a kid, and Avery's pretty petite, and tiny, so. But she had so much fun the first time she did it. That they went again the second day.
Now she'll be able to show Lenore.
Yeah. So the girls will be boogie boarding together. I can't wait to see videos.
I know. Pictures, I'm so excited.
I know. It's good for them. Because they're all older. Troy and Lenore's birthday is next week as of recording. So Troy's going to be 16, the big one 6.
That's fun.
And and the girls are going to be close to being teenagers soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know. So, yeah, it's the big kids having fun. And like you said, I wish I could have gone on a trip without my parents.
Oh, I know. At that age,
trip,
without my parents and with my best cousins and getting to hang out. That's adorable.
Yeah. So that's what we're just sitting around waiting for pictures. They've only been there for a day because they got picked up yesterday morning. It's been 24 hours. And we're like, I want to see all the pictures. What are you guys doing? I hope you're having fun.
I miss you already.
I know. Yeah. So while they're gone, I have been keeping busy. Well, what did you call it yesterday? Tired but wired?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was so tired but wired yesterday to the point where I was like, okay, because I was like, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And I got my whole house clean. I got Lincoln Lily's room clean. I got everything done. Tons of laundry done. And then Jack got home.
My
and then
laundry.
And then you were like, come over. And I was like, hey, we'll do our homework. I'll bring my computer. And I sat down and I was like, I can't do this. I finally sat down and I was like, I'm so tired. But I was like, I'm afraid if I stop moving, I'm going to just fall asleep. So I folded your laundry.
Yeah.
Because I was like, leave me alone. I need to sit and do something.
I was like, vacuum my floor first. Because I fold the clothes. I always fold the clothes on the floor. So I'll vacuum, then mop, and then sit on the ground, dump my clothes out, and fold them there.
Yeah. So I sat on the floor.
I was like, I don't need the mop. Just
no, it wasn't dirty.
Vacuum first.
Yeah.
Vacuum my floors before you fold my laundry.
Yeah. So I was like, just keep me busy. What else can I do?
What did we put on the TV? Oh, that cult show.
Yeah, the cult.
And then Kurt was upset because I guess apparently he wanted to watch it with me.
Oh.
And I was like,
really?
Yeah, really? I said I had no idea. And I was like, oh, well.
You get to watch it again.
Right? And I was like, how long is it going to take us to get to the episodes? So.
Yeah. Well, that was
I'll forget anyway, because you and I are just hanging out, talking while we're watching it.
Yeah.
I'm not focusing enough. I'm having
Oh, I feel bad for you. You're going to have to watch that creepy guy one again.
Ugh, with his bad plastic surgery and his tattooed eyeliner. Jaime.
Yeah. Gonzalez or something like that.
Know.
Gomez.
It's gonna bother.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was disturbing. His face was like, it's like that episode of SpongeBob with the you know what I'm talking about, like the sculpted guy. What's it? The Squidward when he got his plastic surgery.
Yeah,
the plastic surgery. That's what it looks like.
All filled and round and like grody, all shiny because he's all oiled up all the time.
Yeah, it's
gross.
So gross.
What is the name of the show? It's on Netflix. It's Making a Cult Leader.
Yeah,
Making of a Cult Leader or something.
Yeah, or How to Make a Cult Leader.
I think so.
Or make something like that. It's something cult leader.
It's very interesting. It seems like there's a lot of episodes, and they were like what, a half hour?
Yeah, they were only like a half hour, so it's not like some where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to listen to an hour of like Charlie Manson and Jonestown and stuff. So it's like you already know the basics of like what happened if you are into true crime, as I'm sure if you're listening you are.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And it's kind of the thing, like we're probably not going to really cover those for a while, if at all, because it's been so oversaturated. Like everyone kind of knows, except that one guy. I didn't know anything about him.
The buff greasy guy?
Yeah.
I don't.
I was like, who's this guy?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget, he was a failed pornography star.
Yeah.
How do you fail at that?
I know. He's just so nasty. He's so full of himself. Ugh.
I think they always are.
I know, that's what my mom was saying. She's like, well, don't they have to
Isn't that like a requirement?
Yeah, isn't that a requirement for a cult leader?
Narcissistic.
Like, yeah. I know. So we've been watching stuff, and then chickens, as always. I candled the ones in the incubator. It looks like every single one has something in it. One of them, it looks like maybe it started and stopped developing.
I need some chickens because now I only have 2 hens.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, other than my 3 big ones that are old. Well, except for Miss Frizzle. She
cracky
looks old. She's got like no feathers.
I love her. She's so tweaky.
She is. That was like when the 2 roosters were fighting, and she was like, like in the background.
I wish I could have seen it. I wish I could have seen it. All hooting and hollering.
Yeah. She's so funny.
We need to make her a little like chicken saddle that's like pink with ruffles and a bow, so she looks really pretty. Like she has a dressy on because it's so sad.
It really is.
But the thing is that like her skin isn't irritated. It's not mites. The other chickens and the rooster isn't. She's tearing her up.
Bottom of the pecking order.
Yeah, it's interesting. They probably just pecked her feathers until they just didn't grow back. Like if we wax our legs over and over.
Yep. So she's like halfway ready for the oven.
Poor baby. That sucks.
It is really sad. She's like bald. Like
most of
chicken
her back.
Skin. It's like her whole back. So I probably do need to get her a chicken salad, but she's totally fine.
Yeah, she's happy.
She's not hurt.
Her skin isn't irritated
feathers.
or anything.
Yeah, and then Nikki has no hair on the hair.
But she has the most amazing toupee. It is so funny. It's like she's got it. She looks just like a little turkey vulture with hair on top.
Yeah, so that was
the ones in the Jungle Book. They look like the Beatles.
Yes.
She looks like totally one of them.
Yeah,
she's so cute.
That was in my barnyard mix eggs that I got, right? Did I get the barnyard mix ones? Or did you? Yeah.
I can't remember if it's the one that we did halvesies or it was the second batch. That I don't even know. We've hatched so many.
I know.
And this bullshit, I have 2 hens and 1 rooster out of, I think, 36 eggs we did total.
Yeah.
And the amount of roosters we got, and then just unfortunately deaths are pretty inevitable. It unfortunately happens when a creature has that many babies, eggs at a time. The failure is typical.
Yeah. Even with my quail, I had 17 hatch, and I think I only have like 5 left. They're just so small and delicate, and the weather has been.
Sorry, yeah,
I know it is.
Heat.
It's bad.
All of our chicken groups every single day is like people just falling apart because all their chickens are dying.
Yeah,
it's so hot, and I don't want to get into it a lot, but like this is something people don't realize. These climate shifts. These animals can't live through it.
No,
they are not able to make it through.
And it's the younger ones that have an issue.
Because they're not seasoned to the heat.
Because my rabbits, will have babies and they're in a worm nest, and then it gets really hot through the day, and the babies will die. And so I've lost not this year, but last year I lost my best rabbit, Bonnie. She's the one that started it all. Well, not really. Judy's the one that started it all, but Bonnie's the one that was our first mama. She's the one that started the breeding. So a lot of she was the best one too. She was the best mom. And so I lost her last year to the heat and
so
a few others. And then at the beginning when it went from like 70 degrees to like 99, that's when I lost a lot of my other rabbits. It's just you do what you can, but you lose them. So yeah, every day I go out there and
it's scary.
My chicks are fine. I think the quail are just too small and delicate. They're literally like the size of like
smaller than a ping pong ball.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They feel
so
like
tiny.
They don't weigh anything.
They feel like a ping pong ball. They don't weigh anything.
Aryan,
they're so tiny. So yeah, so it's still hot here. Although we have a little dip now. It's like what 93 today or 95.
The last time I checked at 140, it was 89. But it's so overcasty that it's humid, but it doesn't feel like horrific.
Yeah, it's just
93
humid.
Right now.
Yeah, 93.
It's 2:53 p.m.
Yeah,
and it is 93 degrees and completely overcast.
Yeah, which is like woohoo! Thank you, because it's been like
chickens
104.
are just like celebrating.
Yeah, and yeah. So, anyways, enough with the chicken talk and chit chat. Oh my gosh,
later.
sorry, y'all. I hope what we said was interesting at least.
I think most people have learned if you don't want to hear about it, you can skip about 12 minutes in and we're done.
Skip ahead 5, skip ahead 5, skip ahead 5.
When we stop saying chicken, chicken, heat, hot chicken.
Hot chicken, that sounds good.
I was supposed to have hot chicken yesterday.
Sorry,
and Instacart messed up twice.
Yeah.
I got my money back, but
still.
I didn't get my chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm excited.
So this is, I guess I'll just say it. I'm doing butter.
Nice.
I told you yesterday I wanted to do butter.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do butter.
Cool.
Because I was like, why can't we?
It's what we were talking about. We were just hanging out and it's like, these things are crafts. They are handicrafts. They are a crafted artisan product that you have to learn, and you can't just, you're going to explain it. It's not as easy as anybody thinks.
No.
So,
and it's funny because it's like most crafts where things are just developed and invented and like discovered over time, whether by accident or intentionally. And I mean, think about food experimentation. You know, people are going to experiment with food. So, I covered bread. That's
very true.
You know, because it's a craft. It's something I do. It's an art. You have to know how to make bread.
Yeah.
Even the easiest.
Like it's all science.
Uh-huh.
You have to practice.
Yeah.
And not everybody can do it or is good at it or wants to continue trying. So, you know, I fully support these things.
Yeah. So if you're expecting strictly crafts like sewing or crocheting or painting or whatever, just no. We're going to be doing a little bit of everything in the craft section. So this is the precursor to, you're going to learn its history. You're going to learn why that butter is the way that it is and how it became
and do this craft project. Because I think it's worth doing at least one time, because you can get materials to do it one time yourself, but it's a process.
You could totally make butter. Just like you could totally make bread. You could totally do cross stitch. You could totally, you could do anything. You could, well, I'll get into it. So we all obviously know what butter is. We were just talking about it, and and I had to run to your house yesterday to steal some because I didn't have any. I was like, when did I ever?
I always run out of butter. You never realize until it's like you need it, and then of course it's always that one thing.
Yeah, so I ran over and like tried to barge in your house, but it was locked, and I was like, I need butter. So butter is dairy because it's made from milk, you know, or cream. It is basically just the fat and protein from churned cream, and it's commonly made with cow's milk. That's kind of all the butter that we buy is cow's milk, but it could basically be made from any type of milk, like sheep, goat, buffalo, yaks.
I wonder what the flavor profile is different.
Oh, I bet you. Yeah, because just like cheese, think about like goat cheese. And I love goat cheese, but yeah, so it's going to taste differently. And yak butter, I mean, it's probably
fatty. It's probably so rich and unbelievable.
So in order to make butter, you need to like churn the milk or the cream in order to like separate the fat from the buttermilk, and you can save the buttermilk. You know, think about buttermilk pancakes or buttermilk bread or buttermilk biscuits, you can use the buttermilk, so it's not like wasted. So salt is sometimes added to help preserve it, and it was obviously more common before refrigeration, you know, so because salt would preserve things.
Gotcha.
Now you could just make it without salt because we have refrigeration, and you could still buy, you know, salted butter, as everyone knows, because, you know, butter or salted butter or unsalted, you just stick it in the fridge anyways. So rendering the butter to remove the water and the milk solids makes clarified butter or ghee. So it removes more of the liquids, like the water. So there are different types of butter. There's cultured butter, which uses fermented milk. So this fermented milk, it was more common because it would be milk from multiple days of milking, and so the milk would kind of ferment over time, and so this gives you a cultured butter. And
does that mean it has like probiotics in it?
I think so, yeah, because it's like fermentation, you know, will add in nutrients and stuff. So but butter made from fresh cream is called sweet cream butter, and that's usually what, you know, we use. And this became common in the 19th century because of refrigeration, so the milk and the cream was fresh, and also because of the mechanical cream separator, so it's more common now. Sweet cream butter is preferred in the US and the UK, so we get, when you go to the store, it's going to be sweet cream butter. It's fresh cream used to make that butter. Yeah. But other countries prefer cultured butter, which is the one that's fermented. And in the US, the butter is sometimes, even like the cultured butter, is sometimes labeled as European style butter. So that's your cultured butter. I can't even
think if I've ever seen that in the market. I'm going to have to pay attention now.
I have. And
everyone's going to look.
Yeah, now I know why.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
I want to know what that tastes like too.
I know. We got to get it.
I bet it's like really strong flavored butter.
I'll make some homemade bread, and we could do a butter review. Butter review.
Blind butter tasting.
There you go, for Patreon. We'll make Jack make us like a spread with the bread and the butter and label like A, B, C or whatever. And then we can make butter and then like see which one's ours.
Yeah.
If we could tell, we will do it on Patreon eventually. So whey butter is made by using cream that's been separated from whey instead of milk. And the whey butter has a lower fat content. It's more salty, tangy, cheesy. It's cheaper to make because it's kind of like the whey byproduct, you know. So
the fact that butter would taste cheesy kind of puts me off.
I know.
Cheesy butter.
Tangy, cheesy butter, yeah.
So I bet that's what goat's milk and sheep's milk butter tastes like.
Probably.
For sure.
Now I want to try yak butter now. Now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so
import store.
Now we'll get into like we'll get into the history of butter in a little bit, but like I wanted to talk about the different ways that butter's made. Okay. And kind of like when you were doing the shaking motion, like you could literally stick your cream in a mason jar and give it to your kid and be like, shake this for 30 minutes and it'll make butter. So it's that simple. But in the beginning, butter was made by filling an animal skin sack filled with goat's milk, which was common for people to have goats. Yeah. And then it was attached to a wooden tripod with a rope. And then they would just rock it back and forth until it like made butter.
Oh, how funny.
So they're just moving it around, sloshing it around. And nomadic people would actually just hang the sack of milk like on one of their pack animals, and just the process of like walking and jostling it around, it would just make butter. So it's
that
like
is
no
so
work.
Funny. The booty just
yep. And it would just shake up the bag of milk, and then they're like, you've arrived at your destination. We have butter.
That's cool.
So over time there was like butter making equipment that was developed, and there's basically just like three types of butter churns. There was the dash churn, the barrel churn, and the paddle churn. And the dash churn was invented first, and you might also know it as like a plunger or like a, you know, the old school.
Yeah.
So it's just a pole.
What's always depicted like Amish women.
Yeah. So it's just a pole that's called a dasher that was put into the lid of a barrel, and the dasher is moved in a vertical motion, so up and down, and it agitated the cream in the barrel. And dash churns were used from the Middle Ages all the way up until like the Industrial Revolution. And it could also be called a plunger churn because of like the up and down motion with a stick and like something at the end of it. And I could post a picture of that. It's like kind of, I have to post like what each one looks like. So it's what you would think your old school, like churn the butter. It's you got your stick and you're going to like just move it around.
The only visual we've ever seen.
Yeah. So this was then replaced by the barrel churn. And it's just like what it sounds. It's a barrel mounted on wooden legs. It had a little crank handle, rotated the entire barrel, and it just turns and turns and turns.
Like a bingo ball thing.
Yeah, and there you got butter. So yeah, it's just like a bingo ball thing. It's just like, just turn the barrel. And then the paddle churn was invented, and this had a crank that operated like a rotating paddle that was inside of the churn, so inside of whatever. And this is more efficient and like doesn't require as much labor as like turning a giant, barrel or plunger, just like that motion. So you can actually buy the small paddle churns that go like on top of jars. And it's got the little like, you just like, and it just like moves the butter around. And like I said, you can just stick it in a mason jar and shake it around. So that's basically, oh my gosh, put it on a jar and attach it to Harrison running around the backyard. Yeah, the dog would just churn our butter. But we talked about it. Sometimes it's just cheaper to just buy the butter because the milk or the heavy cream that we would need to buy is like kind of pricey. I'm like, geez, that probably wouldn't make that much butter. But
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know,
because I know that you have to like drain it as you're like whipping it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how much of that do you lose? That's interesting.
Yeah, but then you get buttermilk.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now we'll get into the history of butter. So here's your history lesson. Butter can be traced back to the Neolithic era in Africa in 8000 BC. So a long time ago. And a Sumerian tablet dating back to about 2500 BC actually describes how butter was made from milking cattle. And contemporary tablets show that butter was like used as it was like a ritual offering. So it was kind of sacred, I guess. So the ancient Greeks and Romans made butter, of course, and
did everything.
Yeah, but that climate, the Mediterranean climate, it's like hot, so unclarified butter would like go bad really fast. So they made more cheeses and not butter in order to like help preserve their milk products. They made more cheese than butter, and they actually thought that butter was a food more fit for, quote, the northern barbarians. And a play by the Greek comic poet Anaxandritis. Is that it? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Anaxandritis refers to Thracians. I hope I'm saying that right too.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Thracians as butter eaters.
Like as a
like it's a derogatory term.
Okay, that's my brain.
So they're butter eaters. Yeah, they're barbarians.
Dirty
butter eaters. And then Pliny the Elder called butter, quote, the most delicate food among barbarous nations. And he also described like the medicinal purposes of butter, or properties of butter. Sorry. So cooler climates obviously had an easier time storing butter, like without it going bad. Like natural refrigeration, they're just cold climates. So many places in like Northern Europe made butter. And Scandinavia has the oldest record in Europe of trading butter, dating all the way back to the 12th century. And after the fall of Rome and through the Middle Ages, butter was really common across Europe, but it was like mostly eaten by peasants. And in the early 60s,
has like a nutritional bulk, I bet.
Yeah, because it has all your fat and stuff. So then in the early 16th century, butter became more accepted by the upper classes when the Roman Catholic Church allowed it during Lent. And the English ate bread and butter together, and they also used butter as a sauce with meat and veggies. I'm like, I do love some buttered veggies.
Yeah.
Buttered broccoli and yeah, I love butter.
Like a big dollop of butter on your steak.
Yeah. Oh. The English. Oh, I already said that. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. Butter was also used for fuel and lamps instead of oil. And this is new to me. I didn't know this. The butter tower of Rouen Cathedral was erected in like the early 16th century, so around the same time, when Archbishop George's DM Boise, I don't know, I'm probably saying that totally wrong, authorized the burning of butter during Lent instead of oil because oil was sacred during Lent. So I guess, I don't know, I guess it was
That's
sacred, so they would
interesting.
like just burn the butter instead of oil. So in Northern Europe, butter was sometimes packed into barrels called firkins. Firkins.
Are you freaking serious?
Yeah, firkin. Firkin. Firkins. And they were actually buried in peat bogs.
Oh.
And sometimes they would be buried for years.
Mm-hmm.
And the bog butter, as it was called, would develop a strong flavor over time as it aged. And
Bog
because
butter.
it was so it would still be, they would dig it up and you could consume it because of how it was stored. It was cool, airless, antiseptic, and the environment was like acidic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as we know, those like conditions totally preserve something. So this butter just ages in this cold bog.
Wow.
And firkins are common archaeological finds in Ireland.
That's so cool.
It is. The National Museum of Ireland Archaeology actually has some firkins that
have butter in them?
a grayish cheese-like substance,
Ew.
partially hardened, not much like butter, and quite free from putrefaction.
Wow.
So I will post a picture of it because I
Gross,
saw
but
that and I was
that's
like,
so
"What is
cool."
that?" And I was like, oh, "That's butter. It's totally butter. It's super old butter from the 16th
Fossilized
century." Yeah.
butter.
So yeah, they found some firkins with butter in it. So the use of firkins, it's so funny every time I say that word. I'm like,
It's funny.
so when you say it so much, you're like, that maybe I'm not saying that right, but it is. It's just like it sounds. The use of firkins buried in the peat bogs was like really common in Ireland and from like the 11th to the 14th centuries. And then it like totally stopped by the 19th century because like you just don't need to make butter like that anymore.
Yeah.
Or store butter like that. So before the 19th century, most butter was made on hand or by hand on farms. And it was usually sold to help families make extra money.
Mm-hmm.
And they would use wood presses with carved decorations, and they would press the butter into like pucks or small bricks and sell at like markets or general stores or whatever. And the decoration on the butter showed which farm made the butter. So each farm had their own little decorative wood press. Oops.
Cute.
And so this was common until obviously butter production was mechanized and they just made it into stick form. And it's like not all pretty and decorative. So it's just like, here's your stick of butter. Not like, I want pretty butter. I'm sure you could probably find pretty butter. I'm sure at a farmer's market someone has their own.
Probably, yeah, because butter molds are still a thing.
So now I want to make butter.
We will do it.
So France became known for its butter in Normandy and Brittany. And in the mid 1840s in London, it was estimated that they consumed 15,357 tons annually in London.
Those poor cows.
I know. So the first butter factories in the United States were opened in the early like 1860s after cheese was introduced just the decade before. So it was cheese in like the 50s and then in the 1850s and then butter in the 60s. And then in the late 70s, the centrifugal cream separator was introduced, and this just mechanized it more. So it separates the cream from the milk and all that. So it was less expensive to do it this way too, because you're in less time consuming with this invention.
And I'm sure like more bulk.
Oh yeah,
They
you
could
can
do
make a
more at
lot
a
more
time.
faster. So during the 20th century, butter was actually not consumed as much because of the introduction of margarine.
Oh God. Yeah.
And
Ew.
as we all know, it's thought to be healthier and than butter. It's not. You're eating plant oils and it's not good for you. And so in the United States, like margarine was consumed more than butter in the 50s. Like in the 1950s, it just switched over to margarine. And think about it, all the diet fads and stuff. It's like, oh, margarine, it's healthier for you. Well, actually, you're just putting a bunch of oil on your body. It's not butter. And people would call it butter. And I remember growing up having like the tub of margarine, and we'd call it butter.
Yep.
It's not butter. It's margarine. So if that's new to you, your margarine, look at your ingredients. It's not butter. even I can't believe it's not butter. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
It's
they
not.
told you.
Yeah, it's not butter. Margarine's not butter.
Yeah.
I can't believe I told you. Or I can't believe it's not butter. Literally told you it's not butter.
They said it.
Yeah. So, and that's still the same today. That margarine, well, mostly in the U.S. and the EU, butter's not consumed as much as margarine. I stopped buying margarine a while ago. I don't know the last time.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can't.
Jack would buy it all the time, and so I just
bought
bought
up
it.
on margarine.
Me too.
The Imperial.
Yeah,
Imperial
I did
brand.
the Country Crock.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
Is it? No, Imperial is butter. They make
Imperial does make butter.
See,
but they have margarine.
But they have a margarine as well, I think.
Yeah.
And now I'm going back and forth between, I think we were an Imperial margarine, but occasionally a Country Crock.
Jack would get Imperial butter sticks. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So as we talked yesterday, mm-hmm. the East Coast, this is in the United States, the East Coast and the West Coast, our butter is shaped different. So the East Coast have they're all 8 tablespoons, mm-hmm. but the East Coast have long, thin ones, and the West Coast have short, fat ones called stubbies. But I don't think I've ever called it a stubby. Sorry, we're so immature. But so the reason for this, we looked it up yesterday, and I meant to put it in my notes, and I completely spaced on it. It's because of the way that the butter was sold, and it was in these like blocks. It was sold in like the 1 pound blocks, and then they would cut it, and so their mold, the way they would cut it, the sticks were long, and this is on the East Coast. Well, then on the West Coast, they started doing the same thing, but their mold was just different, and so it was like shorter, and so fatter.
It just ended up being
ended up being that way.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
I actually like the look of the long skinny bars because they fit long in the pretty butter thing that you got me.
Yeah.
Because the short one, it's not, they're still like length.
Also when you're cutting off like pads of butter, it's thinner. It's like not so thick.
Yeah, it is.
So now I have some fun facts.
Fun fact. Here's your fun fact. My sister helped me figure that out. It is from the show Curiosity Quest that's on PBS.
Oh,
I think it's a local show from down here.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I think it's also like, oh, my brain, syndicated. I do believe it's syndicated, but it is a Southern California public broadcasting show, and they say that. So I love you. Please don't sue us. The show's really fun. Yeah. The guy is kind of dopey, but the show's really fun.
Yeah,
anyway,
I do think I remember that. But yeah, I do like fun facts. So
yeah,
I was like, I don't know, as usual, where I'm like, I don't know where to put this in my notes. And I'm like, I'm just going to put it at the end as fun facts. So, fun facts. Butter was most likely discovered by accident when some milk was shaken around in a sack on the back of an animal on a bumpy trail. So they were like, what is this? Let's taste it. It's cool.
It can't be bad. It came from this.
Yeah. So another fun fact, one of the butter churning inventions was to power a churn by having a dog, sheep, or a horse on a treadmill. So I'm picturing probably like the barrel one where it's like just
do you know what I see?
What?
Freaking Willy Wonka. You know when he was on the bike?
Oh yeah,
pedaling the like laundry bucket, but it was like a half wine barrel, and it had paddles, and it was like, and I was like, I loved it when he would pedal. I liked this flappy sound it made.
Maybe it was like attached to like a rope or something that would like turn it
like a water wheel.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
See, we would have figured it out back then. We would have invented a water wheel butter churner.
We would have MacGyvered something to make some butter. Okay, so then another fun fact is that butter was actually used in the mummification process.
Ooh.
The Egyptians used a paste of like butter, dirt, and sawdust and used it to plump the skin of their mummies.
Oh.
So like fillers, like just, I guess, under the skin.
Oh, probably like on... Oh yeah,
I don't know, but or
like under the bandaging, maybe in their mouth.
I don't know. I didn't look it up. I just saw that fact and I was like, "Huh." It was a random fact.
Okay.
And my last one is butter sculpting contests. Yes, are held in states all across the U.S. every year, and so it's exactly how it sounds. People get these giant, like.
Frozen solid, I think.
Like a butter. Yeah. And they carve into the butter and make
I don't like
cool
the waste.
Sculptures.
I've seen how cool they are, but I'm like, Does it like get eaten? Are they like carving?
Do they have
on
a bucket of like the
for
butter
the crumbs?
remnants?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Gonna melt
They
it
have their
and filter
assistant
it.
to like hold all the all the carving shavings of butter. But yeah, so they'll carve these like really cool. I was looking at some of them. And I was like, these are cool.
And they're smooth. Like,
yeah, smooth like butter.
exactly.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So
That is cool.
butter.
You did a good job.
Thanks.
I like that. That's super fun.
So yeah, now I'm like, I want to make butter.
Every time we do a craft, we're like, we need to do this.
I know,
because
it's like,
we
this
probably
doesn't sound
will.
so hard. We will. We'll do it all over on Patreon
It doesn't
eventually.
sound so hard.
I know. I'm like, I will shake a thing. There's our arm day. You know, just get 2 mason jars, like a shake weight.
Just
yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. We'll bring it down. Or you bring it down.
yeah.
It's not my turn this time.
No, it's mine's interesting. It's a little bit on the shorter side, but
Oh, okay.
so
Well, mine was. That's not going to be long, and it's long.
it's okay. We talked a lot about
I know.
butter. My crime case is going to be on the disappearance of Louis Le Prince.
Okay. Never heard of this person.
Okay, it's sad because not a lot of people have. And
Okay.
once we get towards the end, you'll appreciate him in a different way.
Okay.
Louis was born on August 28th, my uncle's birthday,
Oh.
1841 in Metz, France. His family, close family and friends called him Augustine or Gus because that was his middle name.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad was a major of artillery in the French army, and he was an arms officer of the Légion d'honneur, which is the Legion of Honor, which they have a museum up in San Francisco that I went to, and I cried like 5 times. And I'm wondering if it's like art that was rescued by the French military. I'm like, I have to look now. I'm going to Google it because I'm not sure. And my sister's listening to this and screaming.
Yeah. Probably someone else too.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. Someone in France.
Yeah.
He grew up visiting his father's friend, who was also an artist, and that man's name was also Louis Daguerre, which was like daguerreotype photography. He was the founding pioneer of photography.
Oh.
And so daguerreotype photos are, again, my sister's screaming. She went to like a whole exhibition of these, and they were so beautiful, but they're really amazing. And photography, film development still blows my mind. It's all insane. I'm not smart enough. I can't. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So
I had to learn a lot of history about
that's fun.
which I'm like, I don't know why I haven't heard this name, but I took 2 years of photography, I think, and I think it was 2 years, but I took photography in high school.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know our photography teacher at my high school was a twin of the history teacher, Gary and Bob Bulin. They were like the coolest teachers ever. And the photography teacher, I really wanted to end up taking the class, but I didn't manage. I was having too many issues in school at that point. So it's believed that during this time, Louis Le Prince, he got lessons from Louis Daguerre on his photography and chemistry before he was even 10. So he was really interested right away. It was his thing from the time he was little. His continuing education was in art and chemistry at Leipzig University, and he graduated from there. After that, he moved to Leeds with his friend from college, whose name was John Whitley. And in 1869, so almost 41, 51, so he's 28, he married John's younger sister, Elizabeth. And she was an accomplished artist of her own at the time. And so the two of them went on their honeymoon in Paris. And at that time, Louis kept going to these magic shows, which I find really funny. Like, let's go to magicians. But, you know, that would have been fun back then, too. And so he became completely engulfed by this one illusion, which it's kind of funny because I know of it for one thing only. The illusion has, like, ghost specters that are moving through, and actually what it was it was a projection. I'm so sorry. It was a projection on glass with angled mirrors at the bottom of the stage. And so the projection would bounce off of all of them and project a floating ghost.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This is the early version of the Pepper's Ghost, which is used in Disney's Haunted Mansion rides. And it's really magical.
I know what this
it's
is.
been around forever. And it's so beautiful. And it's such a simple
When you just went and saw Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. It was really good. I liked it. So Louis and his wife Elizabeth actually started a school called the Leeds Technical School of Art.
Okay.
And it was really, they became famous, both of them, for they were able to take photographs at the time and they could transfer them onto metal and onto pottery. So like with chemicals, they were like we can do that now too. You can pull apart Polaroid photographs and smush them down, and then when you rip them, it'll have the opposite side on there. And so I'm thinking it was probably found out by mistake because the weird chemicals that are used in photography. So they were teaching that. It was cool. And in 81, so he's in his very early 40s. He's actually 40.
Okay.
He traveled here to the USA as an agent for the Lincrusta Walton, and he stayed here. He stayed here when his contract was over, and he ended up becoming a manager of a troupe of artists that made really large panoramic murals and wall paintings that ended up being at the time, and they still exist now, being displayed in New York and Washington D.C. and Chicago, all these really big places. And he got credit for the help of touring them around and keeping them in business. And at this time, he had started experimenting with working on a moving picture camera.
Oh, okay.
And he invented a camera with 16 lenses on it. And it was his very first patent. And what it reminds me of is it looks like, you know, those little Viewmasters, the little orange binoculars. And you like click, click. So the little disc, it looked just like that. The lens, but much smaller. And I think there was like 3 of them that were all attached at the front.
Okay.
And it would click and they would like all go. It was crazy. The problem was, it didn't quite work the way he needed it to. It did work in a cool way because what would happen, it would take 16 photographs from different angles depending on where the lens was. But when you layered them together, it was just
wonky,
just jumping around. It wasn't solid. It wasn't a solid flow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he ended up just 6 years later, he traveled back to Leeds, and his family had come with him to America for a while, but they had stayed behind for a little bit of time. And they had come back to Leeds in 1887. And at that point, he had built a single lens camera towards the end of 1888. Okay. And he was able to use it for moving film pictures. We have the evidence. You can watch them. They exist. And one of them was filmed on October 14th of 1888. He filmed, it's called Round Hay Garden Scene. And it's just some men walking around and a woman kind of just pivoting. And it's just a really quick loop. I think it's like 3 seconds, but it was pretty magical at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
And he was not the first person. There were a couple other going, but his was the flow for the time. It was really good. And what he had done was new and different. He also did a little small sequence film of his son, Adolphe, playing an accordion. And so just a couple of years later, in September 1890, Louis was going to go back to the USA to join his family because they had already gone back. So his wife and children, and he was going to debut publicly these films and talk about the camera that he'd made because he had not shown anybody yet.
Oh, yeah.
It was kept very secret.
Yeah.
And so his plan was that he was going to go to Dijon to France to visit his brother to get some, hype. He was nervous.
Yeah.
He'd actually become quite depressed and mildly suicidal because they didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And even though they were well respected in the art world, even nowadays, that doesn't bring a lot of money in all the time.
Yeah.
And so he was getting really disappointed in that. And so he went to go visit his brother to get like a pep talk before he went, and maybe some advice. We really don't know. He was just going to go. On the 16th of September, he took a train to Paris, but he was late, I'm guessing, for the first train because he was going to connect with some friends. So he missed that first train. And so the next one he took, he ended up just missing his friends in Paris, and he was never seen again. So the French police and Scotland Yard, from Britain, they searched and they scourged, and they declared him dead 7 years later in 1897.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, that is the end of it.
What?
Like, I have some other things to talk about, but one of the theories was that it was an assassination because Louis was about to patent this projector that was better than Thomas Edison's at the time. And so they think that somebody sent somebody after him. But at the same time, he had not really come publicly through it. So who did he accidentally tell? He'd never, I'm sure he had told some people what he was working on. So who snitched?
Yeah.
If that is the case.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Is like somebody found out what he was on too, and they tried to get him to stop because they were almost there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was there were 3 people at this time. It was him, Edison, and somebody else that's in the article. Another thing that's possibly thought of was that his family wanted him to disappear because he may have been gay.
Okay.
But his friends and people around him say, like, no, that's not possible. But at the same time, a lot of people hide it for their whole lives. And he wasn't that old. And so they think maybe he was like, they were just disappointed in his failure and told him to get wrecked. And then when he was declared dead, his family could collect the money from him.
Maybe.
But his widow, Elizabeth, has said, like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They weren't poor,
Yeah.
The other theory is that his brother was jealous and killed him because he was the last person that saw him, supposedly.
Yeah.
Because he said that they were there.
Yeah.
That he met up with him. And that was it. So the theory that possibly his brother killed him from jealousy or to steal his ideas, we're not really sure.
Yeah.
So as I did mention, he was suicidal. That was an issue. But nobody really thinks that he would have done that. The crazy thing is, they believe that there was a body that was pulled from the water, the Seine, I think it's pronounced the Seine, or maybe the Seine River.
Seine, I think.
And it had the facial hair that he had matched up because he had really intense facial hair. But the thing was, the body was way too short. Now get this. This is crazy to me because the average height of a woman in Victorian times was like 5 feet. And I think her average shoe size was like a 5. The average height of a man was about my height or your height.
Oh, okay. So about 5.
He was 6'4".
Oh, wow.
So if he wasn't that tall of a person, I'm so sorry, my throat.
No, it's fine. Because I'm not 6 foot. But yeah, we're only a few inches off.
Taller ladies, but
we are tall.
That's crazy.
A
short, the typical average Victorian height man to a 6'3", 6'4" size dude. So they do not think that it was him.
No. Okay.
So May 13th, 1898. This was
10 years later.
Just a
because was it 88?
7.
Okay.
7. May 13th, 1898, Edison sues a mutoscope company claiming that they had infringed on a patent of his for a camera and they were using it because films were being made. And Louis' son, Adolphe, he was called to testify for the experiments that he saw his dad doing, the inventions that he had, and to tell the claims that his dad had invented the moving picture, because the way that the timeline adds up, his dad did.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, his testimony didn't change anything about the trial. It just brought a little bit more notoriety to his dad's name. But unfortunately, Edison won the case because he had money.
Yeah.
But what the U.S. Supreme Court of Appeals, they ruled that Edison did not invent the moving picture.
Yeah.
They did not say that Louis Le Prince did, but they said that he didn't. No. And so he could not take that away. So unfortunately, later in his life, not much later, only 3 years later, Adolphe was found dead on Fire Island in New York. And his body was found badly beaten during a duck hunt.
Okay.
An accident would be shot. So 3 years after he testified and Edison loses his case, he shows up dead.
Yeah, this is a big...
And I'm like, dun, dun, dun. Most people know that Thomas Edison was kind of a bag of shit.
Yeah.
Because he stole a lot of things and bullied and threatened and used his money. And this could be one of those things. And they've done all kinds of research, just like we've talked about a few other times, people pulling stuff up. They've never found anyone even close to possibly being Louis Le Prince.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy because he was like, nobody, they said that maybe he had returned to America but went to the East Coast area, but nobody really knows. It's crazy. It's super crazy to me, and that's it.
Wow.
It was just
okay. So my theory is that, as it is with most I don't want to, well, you can't be conspiracy theorist if it's true, but a lot of times when people are making these great inventions or discoveries, and either it's got to be hush hush, no, it's too advanced, like we don't want people
gaining control of what they watch.
Yeah. And so I think it was probably something where someone else was very close to inventing, like maybe Thomas Edison, very close to, discovering that moving picture. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, because it's like the whole
maybe
thing.
Maybe his was just too good, and they had done it, but it wasn't
Edison
as good.
And Tesla, there was that whole battle thing. It was probably the same thing with this, with like someone else is like, we got to shut him up, we got to shut him down, we got to get whatever he knows, whatever he knows. We need to shut him down, shut him up, and take what he knows to put it towards our invention.
It's gross
because
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It is not, and
people have
my
killed
theory.
for way less.
Oh, absolutely. That's my theory.
It's just
because
so weird
it's the same
when they
thing.
Never find a body. Like even through all this time, that's happened.
Yeah, I think he was either. Yeah, I think he was probably killed just because of his invention.
Yeah, he was too close.
Yeah,
and it's so sad because, like, luckily he has come to more of the forefront, and these videos will be. I'm gonna try to think of a way that I'll post. I'll probably post the link in our Facebook page, so it'll be better viewable from there. So you don't have to like click the source and copy it and stuff. And I watched the Round Hay about the garden little walk. It's kind of creepy, but it's just because the kind of film he used was like this weird solid paper strip, so it had to be shaded. You can see the side is like blacked out, and it's probably because he's over it like this, and he has to pull the strip through at a perfect. It's crazy. So there's that video, and I do think the video of his son Adolphe playing the accordion is there, and there are a couple others too. So if I find them, I'm gonna post them all on Facebook, so it'll be easier to see them there on our Facebook page. So but it's very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. He was totally shut up by someone.
Oh, yeah.
That's my. I'm like, when you were talking, I knew he went missing. I was thinking maybe then he was going to be found or something, but I was already thinking ahead as you were talking. I'm like, he totally just got. It's almost like I don't know. He was
I
too
know.
smart, and
It's
someone's
so
like,
sad and
this guy-
unfair.
yeah, because it happens now. We all, I mean, I hear it all the time where like someone made a medical discovery or whatever, or they're working on this, all of a sudden they're dead or they're missing,
Yeah.
whatever, and you're like, what? Someone's always trying to shut someone up.
Do you remember? It was a long, long time ago. That group of high school kids, they like found a cure for cancer or like HIV or something, and then the government came through, and like all of a sudden we found out that their families have been paid a lot of money with like no choice to stop, they took their stuff. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
It was so long ago. I feel like we were teenagers.
Oh, probably.
When it happened.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, and it's not the first time I've heard stuff. And it's like, it's not a conspiracy if it's true. I heard it on the news. Like,
yeah.
Another thing too, I believe it was like one of the first group of kids that made bioactive corn fuel or something like that. It was the same thing.
Yeah. And that's why, as I was listening to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's totally, he totally, was missing because
and
of
Edison
what he
had people in
was
his
capable
pockets allegedly, but it's like he's dead, but it's just like
yeah,
it still is so strange, and there's just too much we already know about how he meddled and took stuff from Tesla. And it's so sad. It's so sad and unfair. And then this dude was dead. And then his son, 3 years later, it's too coincidental. You can only have too many coincidences.
Yeah.
And we're not talking like, oh, his battered, beat up body was found because like he fell off a cliff on this island. It's not.
No.
You know, how does that? And we're not, it's not even like, 10 years later, 3 years after this trial ended. And you know that stuff still continues after that, legal fees and the countersuits and crap like that.
Yeah,
it still keeps going. So I'm like, it's so sad. It's just too much coincidence and weirdness.
That is.
I know. I feel so bad for
crazy.
him.
Wow.
But now we
was
know.
That our first unknown? Wait, you did another unknown.
L.C. Siegel.
Yeah,
we technically
that was
never found who they never found Billy, her boyfriend. He ran away.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. It's haven't
really
done,
sad.
What's that show? That oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. That one show, Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I felt like because when the new one came out, and every episode I would do it. Where I'm so used to watching like true crime stuff, and you know what happens or something similar, and then I'm watching.
You guess.
You know,
you're
and
really good at guessing.
And then it would be like, it's unknown, it's unexplained or whatever. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, I forgot what show I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why are these all unknown?
How could you do this to me?
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
But we get a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
Those shows are intense. When we were kids, like that theme song was scary. Made you like huddle in. You're like, who's going to. Hold on. I'm going to pull that shit up.
I'm all do.
I know. It's so similar. Like when we all know it. And the crazy part is I remember being a kid and I would watch when I'm trying to remember.
Like, maybe don't play it. I will get sued.
I think it's different. The new one. This is the old one.
Oh, it's yeah. I'm like, I don't want to get sued. We're not saying this is ours. We're not saying we have credit.
This belongs to whoever owns Unsolved. I type mysterious.
Like maybe just we need to vaguely hum it.
Let me see if I can.
Because now it's driving me crazy. And there's probably the people in like other countries that are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, is that a thing in other? I know it's like a U.S. show. But it just shows like unsolved
Temu commercials.
It just shows like unsolved crimes and stuff. I don't like them. I don't like the unresolved.
It's sad.
It is.
But I do like they do the updates every now and then.
Yes, I think there was a lot of updates. I wish we could get an update on this because I'm like, what happened 100 plus years later?
But I will say, hold on, I'll just listen to it and then I'll try to sing it for you.
Yeah, because I'm like, I kind of remember what it sounds like, but because I know the new one.
Yeah. Can you still hear it a little?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I just don't want to get sued.
Come on. No, I'm waiting for the dang.
Is it like the the intro?
Come on, dude. Oh, come on. David
we
Berkowitz.
are so professional over here.
This is what Mommy's After Hours is like, you guys.
I know. This is like the.
I don't think they took it out.
Oh,
the person that put it on YouTube took it out.
Oh, that's right. Because like we don't. Yeah. Anyways, go look.
Come join us on Mommy's After Hours so you can hear us sing
figure it
the
out.
Unsolved Mysteries theme song.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So-
it was creepy. And I remember it used to come on. I had to watch Rescue 911 before, and I hated
And now
it.
we watch it for fun.
I know, it's that body cam.
Oh,
Did you
that
know there's a
body
body
cam.
cam EMT one?
Oh.
Yeah.
Gee. I don't know, but I'll kind of watch those things on
Yeah.
YouTube. Anyways,
Okay.
okay. We're so sorry.
We're so sorry. We went over an hour.
Yeah, just over. But anyway, so with that, stay crafty.
And not cry me. Bye.
Bye.